So for a long time, we were taught one simple idea. Now, if you build authority for a domain, the search engines will reward you. And for traditional SEO, mostly it worked, right? The strong domains ranked better, brands with better links, mentions, and the history showed up more often. Now, if you did the basics right and waited long enough, visibility naturally followed. So today, when people don't appear in AI answers, the reaction is a bit confusing. We have authority, we have content, backlinks, we have rankings as well. And then why are we missing? Right? This is where many teams start panicking and they assume something is broken. And some of the so-called experts, they also come in and they add a lot of tech jargon and they literally make people confused, especially the clients. And obviously it happens, right? People try to take advantage when something is broken. Now, the reality is that what changed, we have to look at it. Now, how inclusion is decided. Now, before I go deeper into this, I want to pause theory for a moment and explain how we are approaching this entire series. Now, because talking about AI search without observing in the real world, it doesn't help anyone, right? And alongside this 100 episode series, what I've thought of was to start a long-term public experiment where I've booked a new domain and I've set up a clean infrastructure. It's a WordPress site. The project is called Mega List Project. Now, there is no content there yet, as you can see here. And it's intentional, right? This is not a launch, this growth experiment or a case study. And by the way, don't worry, I'm not going to sell you any course, right? So this is like a search engineering lab. And this is something which I'm going to share the experiments that we are doing so that we'll see how this pans out. Now, the whole idea is that we need to observe how these modern search and AI systems discover, interpret, and include information over time. This experiment is not to promise any traffic, I'm going to create like 1 million traffic website rankings. No, this is not about it. This is an experiment to see how the inclusion works in AI. Right now, the site only has a homepage, as you can see here, and an about post. Basically, these are posts. I'm going to create a slightly different version. Now, these pages exist for one reason, to clearly state the intent, right? There's no affiliates, no sponsored placements, no optimization tricks, right? No pressure to perform actually, right? This matter because the AI systems are extremely sensitive to intent. Now, they don't just look at what you publish, because just imagine these systems are not simply grabbing text from your website. They are trying to understand what are you explaining, what is the intent behind it. So they don't just look at what you publish, they look at how consistently you behave. Now, if something looks rushed, aggressive, or promotion oriented, then it might introduce a bit uncertainty. Again, this is my perspective. Probably it may be different for others. And the uncertainty is exactly what AI systems try to avoid because they are taking this into their training data and they cannot take risks with uncertain information. So now let's get back to today's core idea. Authority is not the same, right, as inclusion. Now, in AI search, authority helps you get considered, but it does not guarantee to get used. Now, the AI systems do not ask like who is the biggest brand. What they are trying to do is they're trying to look at who is helping to explain this answer clearly, the clarity, right? And that is very different evaluation. That's quite different from how the search bots used to work. Now, think about how humans behave. You may trust someone deeply, but you don't keep asking them for advice on everything, right? You trust different people for different situations. Now, AI systems behave the same way. Now, authority is a bit contextual because this is why the same brand can appear in one AI answer and completely disappear in another. Not because the brand changed or not because the optimization tactics are different, but because the question changed. Now, the authority, it can open the door, and the clarity is what decides, whether you are invited into the home. Now, this is also why traditional SEO metrics struggle to explain AI visibility, like domain authority, backlinks, traffic. They still matter, right? So don't get me wrong, because still 90% is still with Google and the search engines, right? They still matter. Overnight, suddenly this is not going to change, right? If you have seen any 2026 prediction, while people are saying a lot, betting big on these things, but the human adoption is going to take some time. But what we're actually trying to look at here is how are we able to see how these AI influence works, and one of the important thing is, like, while the domain authority backlinks, all these things were quite helpful, in the SEO sense, but they don't tell you whether your content actually helps reduce uncertainty for a specific question, right? And AI systems are not trying to rank pages as well, that we looked at in the last few episodes. So they are trying to construct the answers. They will only include sources that makes the job easier for them. That is a shift. So this is why we will observe slowly, deliberately through this megalist project. No rush, no hacks. Let us just try to identify patterns. So tomorrow we take the first step. We will publish one article and we look closely at how trust is built before rankings or citations ever come into the picture. See you tomorrow.